then we'll pass the mic around to the second question. Okay, so Jacqueline, what sort of post-implementation support do you offer?
Yeah, so Smart IT has a full-service help desk. It covers all the time zones here in Canada, and we've got a few different options when it comes to our support. You can have a basic support where you have an SLA on the help desk during the normal working hours between 9 and 4:30. We have a 30-minute SLA where people are human on the other end of your ticket, having a look at what's going on. So that would be your basic help desk. And then I've got some higher service levels where you could have an option to have an account manager and have monthly catch-ups with your account manager about your implementation, next steps, any issues you're having, or any advice you want from us. You can also include a license to upload, have a BI tool included, and then our highest level support contract includes upgrades as well, with 3 and 5 year contracts. So you've got lots of different support options, and you can pick which levels work well for your business.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Great. Thank you. Okay, so for Chintan, Rainwire, what are a couple of things that any customer should take care of while doing Odoo implementation?
First of all, thank you all for coming to the show. I think it was a great turnaround. Thank you so much, Mary, for doing an amazing job, and thank you, Odoo, for allowing us to become sponsor. It has been a great partnership with Odoo so far. As far as Odoo implementation goes, there are a few things which matters, right? Odoo has 82 applications, so it's become a little bit overwhelming. It's one of the fastest growing software from the ERP point of view when you look at it from a next generation point of view in terms of cloud ERP. There are traditional apps which are ERPs like SAP and Oracle or NetSuite and Salesforce, and then you talk about next generation, which is with the cloud. So that's where I think things which are very important is that what are the standard business practices that you're using? What are the features that you are looking forward to implement cloud? What are the most important things that you want to look at it from a digitization point of view? So understanding that and having partner to help you to identify those things, whether it can be sales, whether it can be purchase, it can be manufacturing, it can be CRM, depend upon the business model or type of business that you are into. Identifying those key components, that differentiating modules which you want to implement, and make sure that you define the best of standards industry practices, and then ultimately implement that. I mean, that's where it's going to be very helpful in terms of making it successful in terms of implementation. There are 82 applications. You don't need to use all of them on day one. Start with 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, whatever makes sense for you, and then slowly keep adding. I mean, we have seen a lot of our customers, typically they start with 4, 5, 6 applications, and then ultimately in the year 2, year 3, year 4, they end up with 35, 40, 50, depending upon the business model and kind of adaptation that every business has. So I think these are some of the things that very important to define, that which are the most critical modules which will make difference. Identify that and map that with the right business practice or business processes within the Odoo.
Great, thank you, Chintan. That's great. All right, so now we have Global and Tegra. So Kumal, why choose you as a partner? What makes you unique in this space?
Right. First off, welcome, and sorry that I was a few minutes late. Nature calls in the weirdest times. So here's what makes us different. We used to actually work for the other guys. My partner used to work for Oracle. I used to work for both IBM and Microsoft. And we have decided to move away from that space just because we don't want to be sitting in these events talking technical stuff and just showing you screens and mouse clicks. We want to be in touch with business values. We want to bring to you what matters to you the most, in the sense that I would like to tell you that our implementation will save you more time to spend with your family, will help you increase the size of your business with minimum upfront investment. You dictate the pace, as my colleague has expressed, but what makes us really different is that we take this really personal, and we define our success by the quality of the relationship we have with our customers, not by the amount of money that we make, because money will always be a side effect to a job well done. So that's what makes us different, is that we do not approach this in the sense of software and cloud and technical jargon. We approach this from a very human standpoint. What do you want to achieve? What's important for your business? And then let us as consultants worry about how to translate that into technical terms, because the job of IT consultancy has shifted so much in the past 10 years. Back in the 80s and 90s, consultants were supposed to be walking textbooks. They would walk into your office and offer you 7 or 8 solutions because there was no internet and you had to rely on the expert to give you these solutions. Now you go online, and some of the people I've spoken with today, they've already done the research and they're coming in today because they have questions about whether or not Odoo is the right choice rather than choosing what tool to go with, and that's what we can help with. That's the new age of consultancy, where we can spearhead a single product with all these functionalities and save our end customer the time and effort either to try and do this themselves or lose the way in the market and go buy something from China or something that maybe in the next 5 years you're not going to find the vendor at all. So we're here, we're established, we're very personal, and that's what makes us different.
Great, thank you. Absolutely, thank you. The second question for you, Jacqueline. Could you share one of your favorite implementations and why?
Yeah, so I've been working on Odoo implementations for this 12 years now. And I've done quite a few different ones. I think probably my soft spot was one of my first implementations, where we did an implementation for the energy broker industry over in the UK when I was in the UK office. That implementation was big. It was very customized as well, and it went through a really great phased approach where we implemented the CRM first for the client. They had some specific rules on the CRM through building their employees' pipelines, giving them follow-up levels. We then integrated with a system in the UK that meant that every single electricity and gas meter in every UK business was pulling into Odoo, so that we could pull the data, the usage data off that in order to generate quotes for energy contracts with all the different energy companies that were out there. So that was a fantastic implementation. And with that organization, we went on and did quite a few other things where we integrated the HR with like an eye scanning box that we could put in all the entrances at the business, so people could come in and just look at this machine that scanned their eyes, and it logged their attendance into Odoo as well. So there was a lot of really fun projects within the wider project of that organization. It's probably my favorite.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you. All right, Shintan, second question. How do you plan for Odoo implementation with migration from existing ERP?
So typically, Odoo is going to be implemented. Either you are migrating from your traditional ERPs that you are using. It can be QuickBooks, it can be Xero, it can be Excel sheet, it can be old softwares, old ERPs, or it can be like piece of paper that you're doing it on. Some or other migration is typically going to happen. So one of the most important things is going to be about data. You don't want to bring a junk data. Now, of course, everyone wants that all your 10 years, 5 years, 15 years of business data you want to bring it. But at the same time, you have to be very careful about data. You don't want to bring junk data. You want to do data cleanup, and you only want to bring the data which is absolutely necessary from the business point of view, so that the Odoo can give you a right set of reports and dashboard in the future. The data junk in is typically junk out, so that's where you have to be very careful about it, which is one thing. Second is going to be when you are migrating, typically you don't want to migrate your old processes the way in which you are doing it out. It is going to be very important that look at what you're doing. Look at work with partners, that what is the best industry practices out there. Now, of course, best industry practice may not be always good for every business, but try to find out a middle ground, that which are the best practice, which is and what you guys are doing, and in between, what is the best way that it can be worked out. Do minimum customization as much as possible so that the upgradation, maintenance, things like that become easy. Odoo offer amazing open source API for integration with all the third parties. So that become very easy that, okay, if you want to pull in data from third party, if you want to send it data to some other system, it become very easy to navigate that. So I think that's where it's going to be very critical. One is going to be data. Second is that, like, the processes that you are following, make sure that, like, optimize that processes or upgrade that processes with the best industry standards and best mapping from the Odoo point of view, and try to do that. So those are, like, the critical things that you need to take care when you are typically going to be migrating from the existing ERP or existing process. And at the end of the day, like, Odoo gives you a lot of data point and lot of data and lot of logs. That's where you can collect a lot of data and build analytics on top of that. And that is something which is very powerful, that use that data, whether it's about efficiency in your manufacturing processes or on the shop floor, or whether you talk about your sales team with their optimization in terms of their follow-up. Collect all those data and then use that data in a meaningful way to make the right decision for your organization to take it to the next level.
Thank you, All right, so Rick Mall, second question. Talk to us about the local market.
Right. Something very peculiar I saw about the Canadian market when we first started doing our market research. British Columbia has more than 650,000 small and medium businesses. And what that tells us is that, well, one, the definition of a medium business in Canada is different from the entire world, because Canadians are entrepreneurs by nature, and medium businesses in Canada are huge compared to other countries we've worked with, such as Dubai, for example. And what's really peculiar about this market is that when dealing with small and medium businesses, you are dealing with the business owner or someone very close to it. And that dictates the language that you as a consultant have to adopt in order to convey the message to someone who is not necessarily as technical as you are. So the market is very personal in nature, and it's very business oriented. So not everyone is looking for the biggest and newest and shiniest, but everybody wants to think about their retirement, and everybody wants to think about growing the business, and everybody's thinking of franchising out. We visited one of the franchise shows here in BC, and it's a huge business. Everybody who has like a small business that's doing well is looking to franchise out. So one of the coolest additions that we did to Odoo is actually convert the multi-company model that Odoo supports to support companies functioning in a franchise manner, where there's a mother company that has visibility over the finances of the sub-companies, but not the other way around. And how do you manage these entities where you manage the processes, but you're not managing the people? So it's a lot of development that we've had to do that is dictated by the nature of the Canadian market, and that's like one thing that's making the whole experience very personal to us, is that we're not thinking about modules and we're not thinking about code optimization. We leave that to Odoo, and we really think about what's best for the local market. That's what makes us really focusing on remaining in the country despite having our development done offshore.